The soft chime above the glass doors rang as Detective Maya Carter stepped into Westfield Department Store on a quiet Saturday afternoon. She was off duty for once, dressed casually, jeans, a dark green jacket, hair pulled back into a low bun. No badge, no uniform. Just another woman trying to buy a gift for her niece's birthday. The smell of perfume and polished tile filled the air. A jazz instrumental hummed faintly through the speakers as she made her way toward the jewelry counter, scanning the glittering displays. It should have been an ordinary errand, but from the moment she entered, she felt it. Eyes on her. A mall security guard stood near the entrance, pretending to check his phone. His reflection appeared in the mirrored wall behind the counter, shifting slightly every time she moved. At first, Maya ignored it. She'd seen this play before. She reached for a bracelet, examining its price tag, when she caught sight of the guard again, now pretending to adjust a display. Then, another guard appeared near the handbags. Both white, both watching her. Maya exhaled quietly, jaw tightening. Years in law enforcement had trained her to recognize a tale. The slow pacing, the feigned casualness, the glance that always lasted a beat too long. She placed the bracelet back gently. "Excuse me," she said to the clerk, forcing a polite smile. "Can I see that silver one in the back?" The young woman hesitated, glancing nervously toward the guards. Sure." Maya followed her eyes. The clerk wasn't afraid of her. She was afraid of what might happen because of her. The weight of it settled in her chest. She'd worn a badge for 12 years, served the city, risked her life. But in moments like this, it didn't matter. All they saw was her skin. She turned sharply and headed toward the next aisle. The guards mirrored her movements. That's when one of them, the taller one, with slicked back hair and a heavy radio clipped to his belt, approached her. "Ma'am," he said, his tone cautious but condescending, "can I help you find something?" Maya looked up, eyes calm but unflinching. "I think I'm good, thanks." "Just making sure," he said, forcing a smile. "We've had some incidents lately. You understand?" "Do I?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. He blinked, thrown off by her tone. "Just store policy, ma'am." Maya took a slow step toward him. "Store policy to follow paying customers around?" His fake grin faltered. "We're not, because I've been in here less than 5 minutes, and I've been shadowed through 3 aisles," she said, voice low, precise, controlled. "So, either you think I'm suspicious, or you need a new hobby." The second guard shifted uncomfortably. The taller one tried to regain footing. "Look, ma'am, we just have to make sure everyone's safe." "Safe from what exactly?" she cut in. "Shopping?" For a long moment, no one spoke. Shoppers nearby slowed, sensing tension. Then Maya took a deep breath and reached slowly into her jacket pocket. The taller guard stiffened, hand twitching toward his radio, until she pulled out a small black leather case and flipped it open. The gold shield gleamed under the store lights. "Detective Maya Carter, City Police." Her voice was quiet but razor sharp. "You might want to be careful about who you follow, officer. Next time, you could be tailing one of your own." The color drained from his face. The second guard stammered, We didn't mean any disrespect." Maya closed the badge with a snap. "You already did." She turned and walked away, leaving the guards frozen in place. The clerk behind the counter stared, wide-eyed. As Maya headed for the register, her reflection in the glass caught her eye. Steady, proud, but tired. Not from the job, but from proving herself again and again. When she left the store, the wind hit her face, cool and freeing. She took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "They'll learn one way or another." And deep down, she knew this wasn't the end of it, because word like that never stayed quiet for long. By Monday morning, the story had already traveled farther than Maya expected. Someone had recorded part of the confrontation, a blurry clip showing two security guards tailing a calm, composed black woman who revealed a police badge at the end. It was only 30 seconds long, but it was enough. The caption read, "They followed her like a criminal until she showed them who she really was." By sunrise, it had hit 100,000 views. By noon, 1 million. At the precinct, Maya's phone buzzed nonstop with messages. Colleagues, friends, even a few reporters. Most were supportive, but a few stung. "You handled that like a pro." Don't let them use you for PR. Now they'll say racism doesn't exist because you're a cop. She turned the screen face down. She didn't need praise or politics. She wanted peace. But peace wasn't what waited for her at work. When she walked into the station, Captain Ruiz, her commanding officer, waved her over. Carter, my office, now. Maya followed him in, closing the door behind her. Ruiz was a sharp man, gray hair, sharp suit, and a no-nonsense expression. But there was something softer in his eyes today. I assume you've seen the video, he said, rubbing his temples. Yes, sir, he sighed. I've had calls from the mayor's office, the store's corporate office, and 3 news outlets. They're all asking for a statement. Maya crossed her arms. I didn't ask for any of this. I know, but it's out there now. And they want to meet with you. The store manager, corporate PR, the mall director. They want to make things right. Maya let out a humorless laugh. Right. Because a press apology makes racism disappear. Ruiz gave her a look. You don't have to go. But if you do, I'd back you up. She hesitated, then nodded. I'll go. I don't need an apology for me, but maybe they'll think twice before they do it to the next person. The next afternoon, she walked back into Westfield department store, this time not as a customer, but as herself. The badge on her belt caught the light as she entered. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Shoppers moved quietly, the clerks avoided eye contact. Word had spread here, too. At the back office, the store manager, a tall man in a gray suit with the look of someone used to control, was waiting. Beside him sat the 2 guards, pale, nervous, eyes on the floor, and a corporate representative, a polished woman with a tablet in her lap. Maya, the manager began, forcing a polite smile. Thank you for coming in. I just want to start by saying this was all a misunderstanding. Maya raised an eyebrow. A misunderstanding? 2 guards followed me through 3 aisles for no reason. He shifted uncomfortably. They were following protocol. There have been thefts recently. She cut him off. Thefts by who? He hesitated. By people who looked like me? She asked quietly. The room fell silent. Finally, the corporate rep spoke. Detective Carter, on behalf of the company, we deeply regret this incident. The guards will be receiving additional training, and we'd like to extend an apology. Maya's laugh was short, sharp. Training won't fix a mindset. You can't teach someone not to assume guilt by sight. One of the guards finally spoke, voice trembling. We didn't know you were a cop. Maya turned to him slowly. You shouldn't have to know that. The words hung in the air, heavy, unanswerable. She stood, adjusting her jacket. I'm not here for a photo op or a press quote. I'm here to remind you that next time, it might not end with a badge. It might end with someone hurt. The manager swallowed hard, his face red with shame. You're right, he said quietly. You're absolutely right. As Maya left the office, the air in the store seemed different, quieter, more cautious, like everyone was holding their breath. Outside, the afternoon sun reflected off the glass windows. A few reporters were waiting by the curb, cameras ready. Maya, do you have a statement? One called. She paused, then looked directly at them. Yeah, record this. She reached for her badge, held it up to the light, and said, Justice isn't about what's in your wallet. It's about what's in your vision. Start seeing people for who they are, not what you assume they're not. Then she walked away, her reflection catching briefly in the window. Calm, powerful, unshaken. Behind her, the crowd was silent for a moment before someone began to clap. It spread soft but sure, the sound of awareness, of something shifting, if only a little. By midweek, the clip had become more than just another viral video. It had become a conversation, one that refused to fade. Cable news anchors replayed the 30-second footage on loop. Commentators debated it online. Some defended Maya, calling her composure a masterclass in dignity under pressure. Others twisted the story into something smaller, safer, as if this was just a misunderstanding that ended well, instead of a symptom of something deep. But for Maya, none of the noise mattered. She hadn't wanted fame. She wanted change. So when the city council invited her to speak at their public hearing on racial bias and community relations, she didn't hesitate. The hearing took place at City Hall, a grand, echoing chamber filled with reporters, cameras, and citizens from every walk of life. The walls were lined with portraits of old white mayors and judges, their eyes seeming to follow her as she entered. Maya sat in the front row, waiting for her name to be called. The store manager was there too, sitting stiffly with corporate reps, avoiding eye contact. And behind them, the two guards, in plain clothes, visibly uncomfortable, had been asked to attend as part of the hearing's discussion on profiling. When it was her turn to speak, Maya rose, her movements calm and deliberate. She stepped up to the podium, cleared her throat, and began, "My name is Detective Maya Carter. I've served this city for 12 years. I've worn a badge, protected families, and helped solve crimes most people only read about. But 2 weeks ago, I walked into a department store, off duty, out of uniform, and was treated like a suspect instead of a citizen." Her voice was steady, every syllable cutting through the silence. "I've been followed before. I've been second-guessed before. But this time, it wasn't just about me. It was about how many people never get the chance to prove who they are before someone decides for them." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Maya continued, "The guards didn't see a detective. They saw a stereotype. And when I showed them that badge, they were shocked. Not because they realized they were wrong, but because they realized who they'd been wrong about." She paused, letting that settle. "The truth is, my badge shouldn't be what protects me. My humanity should." For a long moment, no one moved. Then slow, steady applause began. Quiet at first, then spreading through the room until the entire chamber was standing. Even the guards were on their feet, heads lowered. After the hearing ended, one of them, the younger of the two, approached her in the hallway. He looked nervous, remorseful, hands shoved into his pockets. "Detective Carter," he said softly, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Not because of what happened. I mean, I am. But because I didn't realize how many times I've done it before. Following people, assuming things. It's different when you finally see yourself doing it." Maya studied him for a moment, then nodded. "It takes courage to admit that?" He nodded quickly. "I want to do better." She extended her hand. "Then start by doing that every day. Seeing better, acting better." He shook it, his eyes bright with something that looked like shame, but also hope. That evening, as Maya walked home, her phone buzzed with messages. Strangers thanking her, young women calling her an inspiration, parents saying they watched her speech with their kids. She smiled faintly, scrolling through them until one caught her eye. It was from a woman she didn't know. "I was followed last year at a store too. I didn't have a badge to show. I just left crying. Watching you made me feel seen. Thank you." Maya's throat tightened. She looked up at the city skyline, lights glimmering like tiny badges against the night. For the first time in days, she let herself breathe. She knew the world wouldn't change overnight. Bias didn't vanish with applause, but maybe, just maybe, people were starting to look in the mirror and see. And that was a start. As she walked the last few blocks home, she thought about something her father used to say when she was a kid. "Being right isn't always the same as being heard, but being brave makes both possible." Maya smiled. That night, she placed her badge on her nightstand. Not as a weapon, not as proof, but as a reminder of what it truly meant. To protect and to serve everyone. And in that quiet apartment, with the city murmuring outside, Detective Maya Carter finally felt what she had been fighting for all along. Not revenge, not validation, but respect. Spring sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows of the precinct as Detective Maya Carter stepped inside. Uniform crisp, head held high. It had been 2 months since the incident at Westfield Department Store. 2 months that had changed far more than just her life. The city had launched a new initiative on implicit bias and community policing, inspired by her story and testimony at the council hearing. Her speech had become required viewing in training sessions. She didn't ask for that, but she understood the weight of it. If her experience could keep someone else from being profiled, then it mattered. As she walked through the hallway, officers greeted her, some with nods of respect, others with quiet apologies for not standing up sooner. Her reputation had shifted. No longer just Detective Carter, the tough one from Precinct 12. Now she was Detective Carter, the one who spoke up. "Morning, Carter," called Captain Ruiz, stepping out of his office. "Got a minute?" Always, sir, she said, following him in. The office was warm with sunlight, the walls lined with commendations and photographs. Ruiz gestured for her to sit, then leaned against his desk, a rare smile softening his usually stern face. I wanted to tell you this personally, he began. The department's been reviewing your record, and after your recent actions, the board approved your promotion. Congratulations, Sergeant Carter. Maya blinked, stunned. Sergeant, he grinned. Effective next week. You've earned it. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Thank you, sir. Ruiz nodded. No, thank you. You reminded this department what the badge is supposed to stand for. They shook hands, firm, respectful, and as she left his office, she felt a warmth she hadn't felt in years. Not pride. Purpose. Later that afternoon, Maya sat in the precinct's training room, where a group of new recruits waited nervously for orientation. She looked out at their young faces, eager, uncertain, idealistic. Good afternoon, she began, her voice calm and steady. My name is Sergeant Carter. Today, I want to talk to you about what it means to wear this badge. She held up her own, its gold surface catching the light. This badge gives you power, but power without empathy is just control. And control without understanding is just fear. I've seen what fear does to people. It makes them see enemies where there are none. It makes them act before they think. The room was silent. Every time you approach someone, in uniform or out, remember, they're a person first. You can't serve a community you don't respect. You can't protect people you don't see. A recruit in the front row raised his hand. Sergeant Carter, can I ask, was there ever a moment you doubted staying in the force? Maya thought about that for a moment. Yes, she said honestly. But I realized something. Walking away doesn't change the system. Standing in it, speaking truth from within, that's how you move it forward. Her words hung in the air, and she saw something shift in their faces. The beginning of understanding. That evening, as she left the precinct, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She answered. Detective Carter speaking. Hi. This is Daniel Myers, a man's voice said nervously. I was the store manager. From Westfield. Maya stopped walking. Yes, I remember. I just wanted to say, I've been doing those training sessions your department started. And I see now what I couldn't see then. It wasn't just what we did. It was how easily we thought it was normal. You didn't just embarrass me that day. You woke me up, so thank you. Maya was quiet for a moment, then said softly, I didn't do it to embarrass anyone. I did it to make sure it doesn't happen again. I know, he said, and it won't. Not in my store. When the call ended, Maya looked up at the evening sky, streaks of orange fading into blue, and smiled faintly. The world was far from perfect, but she'd learned that change didn't always come from shouting at it. Sometimes it came from showing it, what strength, integrity, and grace really looked like. As she walked to her car, she passed by a group of girls leaving a nearby shop. One of them, no older than 16, looked up and whispered to her friends, That's her, the officer from the video. Maya met her eyes, smiled, and nodded. Always hold your head high, she said quietly. The girl grinned back, as if she understood exactly what that meant. And for the first time in a long time, Maya Carter felt something she rarely allowed herself to feel. Hope. Not for herself, but for everyone still fighting to be seen, to be treated with the same simple dignity she'd demanded that day. Because respect wasn't something you asked for. It was something you earned by reminding the world it was owed to you all along.